Hi guys, I'm excited to announce that I'm a new ambassador of KiwiBet Uganda. KiwiBet is a new betting and gaming platform in Uganda. It allows you to place bets on all your favorite games: football, tennis, basketball, and most importantly, the Premier League. The Champions League is also back. The draws have been drawn today, and KiwiBet is also giving you a chance to double your winnings with crazy odds. So what they're doing is they're going to give you boosted odds on Premier League and Champions League games this season. So all you have to do, just head over to KiwiBet, place a bet on Champions League games, place a bet on the Premier League games as well, and you are going to be a massive winner. When something is new, it is giving. Remember to follow KiwiBet on all their socials: Twitter, Facebook, TikTok. All their links are in the description of this video. You will not regret it. Welcome back to the Kosi Arsenal podcast. My name is Kosi. Welcome back to a brand new video. The UEFA Champions League is back, and Arsenal already know their opponents. In this video, we're going to be explaining the new format of the UEFA Champions League to you, if you don't know already. But also, importantly, I want us to talk about our draw. It is very difficult, guys. It is very difficult to the extent that I'm not sure Arsenal are going to progress. Honestly, I'm very, very skeptical about this group. We have 8 games, and those 8 games include PSG, Inter Milan, Atalanta, Girona, Monaco. It really changes the dimension of the season. It really changes the whole picture of football as we know it, because recently what we are used to is 3 teams that you play against home and away. You always have an easy team, 1 or 2. For example, last season we had Lens home and away. Of course, Lens home and away wasn't easy because we didn't win both legs, but you feel like Arsenal should have won both legs. Then you had PSV. We won both games home and away, but this time around, 8 teams, right? Not even 4 teams, but 8 teams, different locations. It's going to be absolutely crazy. But I want your thoughts on what you thought of the draw. Do you think Arsenal will progress? Do you think Arsenal are good enough against these opponents? And how do you think this actually affects our season? Because I've been looking at the fixtures and how the dates that we're going to actually be playing them on. It looks like we have a game in December. We already have around 6 games in the Premier League in December. We have another game, and that will be in the Champions League in December. That makes a total of around 8 games for Arsenal in December. That is absolutely crazy. We have a game in October, actually 2 games in October. We have a game in September, 2 games in January, and 2 games in November as well. But we'll talk about how this affects our season. Most importantly right now, let's react to the draw and talk about the new format. So the format you're used to is the format where a team is grouped into a group of 4. You play 3 opponents home and away. That is 6 games in the group stages, and if you finish first or second, you progress to the round of 16, and then quarterfinals, and then semifinals, and then the final as well. However, this new format is changing a little bit because the teams are increasing from 24 to 36. That is what UEFA have said. They are increasing their teams in the Champions League from 24 to 36. And how this is going to work, we are no longer going to have group stages or a group of 4 teams. We are actually going to have a single table, right? So it's going to be a league, the way you see the Premier League, the way you see La Liga, the way you see the French League 1. It's going to be one whole league, one whole table, and teams are going to be competing by getting 3 points. So the more points you have, the more goals you score, the less you concede. You know the rest. Of course, the criteria is still the same. Now, the difference between this and the normal league that we're used to is that a team is not going to play all the 35 opponents, right? You're not going to play 35 games against 35 different teams. What we are going to have is a team is going to play 8 games against 8 different opponents, and those 8 different opponents will be split into 2. 4 games will be at your home stadium. For example, Arsenal will play 4 games at home. We could play PSG at home, Monaco at home. That would be lucky. Inter Milan at home, and Girona at home. And then away we play Atalanta. Away from home, Sporting CP away from home, and maybe Shakhtar Donetsk away from home as well. You get the drill. So it's going to be 8 games, and it's going to be a computer that decides this game should be at home, this game should be away. Now, That is where my first problem is. Like, honestly, how do we have Inter Milan, Atalanta, because Atalanta were champions, UEFA Europa League. Inter Milan were champions last season. PSG were champions last season as well. And then we have Sporting CP, who are champions as well. So you're going to find that not every single team has a draw as hard as Arsenal's. That is number one. So that is my first problem. And my second problem is, what if we play PSG at home, or away, and we never get to play them at home? They get the advantage. The team that plays at home will get the advantage. If you're playing Bayern and that game is at the Allianz Arena, that's already an added advantage to Bayern Munich. So I'm not okay with the format, but I hope I've explained it. That is what it's going to be. So let's talk about the draw, shall we? Now, first and foremost, it's 8 teams, right? I've told you about that. It's 8 teams. Get used to it. The first one is Sporting CP. And with Sporting CP, we have a team that was expected to sell many players this summer, and they have not sold. Osmond Diamonde was not sold. Victor Yokares was not sold. Goncalo Hinacio was not sold. They've kept the players, intact. The likes of Marcus Edwards are still in that team. And we played against Sporting CP before, and we know how quality they are. And I think for me with CP, with the manager there, Ruben Amorim, it really doesn't matter whether you're going to play them at the Emirates Stadium or you're going to play them away. It really doesn't matter. Quality team. Arsenal will have to prepare. Arsenal will have to, give their all. So this is not a game where I've seen a few scousers on Twitter saying, some games we could use our second team. For Christ's sake, we don't even have a second team. And you're saying that Sporting CP is a game that we play our second team? No. We are not going to play our second team against Sporting. It's going to be a very difficult tie. Now, Arsenal have the resources to beat Sporting. But like I said, these games are going to be many. 8 games before you progress to the round of 16. And I tell you, by the way, listen to this. You could still play 8 games if you finish below 8th, right? If you finish below 8th, you will have to play another home and away fixture against one opponent in order for you to qualify or not to qualify for the round of 16. So there is a possibility that a team will play 10 UEFA Champions League games to progress to the round of 16 instead of the traditional 6. That is 4 more games. That is crazy. So Sporting CP, I know many of you are like, this is revenge. This is not revenge. This is going to be a very hard fixture, especially if it's in Portugal. I don't think I trust Arsenal in the Champions League. I just don't. It just feels like we are not yet there yet. We've never been that team that you refer to in the Champions League. There's a time when Man United were, kings of the Champions League. There's times when Liverpool was. There's a time when Madrid were. Madrid have always been. Bayern, Barcelona. But when it comes to Arsenal, you never trust this team when it comes to the UEFA Champions League. But so, Sporting, I'm going to say, if it's at home at Arsenal, Arsenal will win. If it's away in Portugal, this will be a clear draw. Next one is Monaco. This is a game we should be able to win. Monaco is not scary for me, but they are decent. So you've got to give them that respect. They're a good side. They have some good players in there, but I don't think they're a scary side. I think they're 3 points Arsenal should grab, home and away. So I don't care whether we're at home. I don't care whether the fixture is in France. We should be able to beat Monaco, because if you can't beat Monaco, then that's going to be a big problem. I think we have underdogs in our group, right? We have underdogs in our group. And then it's not actually a group. We have underdogs among our opponents, and they're going to be very stubborn. So Monaco is kind of, that team that's just in the middle. If you can overpower them, you beat them. So Arsenal will beat Monaco. I'm very, very convinced about that. So that's not a bad draw. Girona. This is my underdog. Girona. And I think with Girona, when you look at Girona, the thing that excites me about them is the style of football, the quality of football they're playing as compared to other underdogs. So we have seen the likes of Nordirland come in the Champions League, the likes of Leipzig, the likes of Leicester City. We have seen those small teams come into the Champions League lanes, and they don't give you quality. That's because when most teams have been promoted, or have just been promoted, or they have just had a good season, they don't really have a good structure. But Girona do have a good structure, and Arsenal must be very wary of this team. This is a team that beat Barcelona last season. They beat Atletico Madrid, I think, last season as well. So well managed side, well taught side. They've lost a few players. Artem Dovbyk has gone. I think that would be a major blow. Savio has gone as well to Man City. That will be a major blow as well. But they are the underdogs in this one. Arsenal must be well prepared. So again, this is not the team I would say we are going to play our second 11. Paris Saint-Germain, they had to do it, didn't they? They had to do it. Arsenal will take on Paris Saint-Germain as well as part of our 8-game as the process to the round of 16. Paris Saint-Germain in the Champions League are not scary. I'm sorry, they're not scary. But what is scary about them is the new manager they have in Luis Enrique. He's been there last season. He's staying with them this season. And the project they have there. They didn't get Victor Osimhen, which was lucky, good enough. But the likes of João Neves, Kolo Muani, Goncalo Ramos, the likes of Vitinha in that team, they're a pretty much decent side. I mean, from goalkeeper to striking, I think PSG is the only team you can compare to Arsenal in terms of squad quality and squad value right now among all the opponents we're going to take on. I mean, we'll talk about Inter in a minute, but I feel like PSG are that quality team. They're just that quality team. And I'm going to say this one, whether Arsenal are home or away, we shall not win it. At home, a draw. Away, we will lose this game. I'm going to be realistic here. Inter Milan coming up next. On your screen is that guy called DiMarco. And I never want to play against explosive fullbacks, especially when it is DiMarco. I love that guy. Really, really do. Now, Inter, I think for them, of course, they're champions in the Italian Serie A, but for them, they just have that household name. And these days, under Inzaghi, they just have the quality to back up that name. So what Arsenal have to be careful about, especially when we go to the San Siro, if it's going to be at the San Siro. At home, I think you can beat Inter Milan. But when it goes to the San Siro, the atmosphere there is different. UEFA Champions League at the San Siro is very different. I wouldn't undermine them. I know many of you would say, listen, Costi, they're playing in the Farmers League, what, Italian Serie A and what. But I'm a big fan of the Italian Serie A. I do watch Italian Serie A games when I get the time. And tonight, I'll be watching Torino Venezia. Inter are playing as well against Atalanta. And what a coincidence, because Atalanta is also among our opponents. So I'll be watching that as well, just to get a feel of what these two teams are all about. But with Inter, the point you've got to take home is that you're playing a giant that is awake, right? Their team is quite interesting, from goalkeeping to the strikers. Lautaro Martinez and Marcus Thuram are getting the goals. Their midfield with Henrik Mkhitaryan, I don't know if they still have Hakan Çalhanoğlu. Is he gone? He was linked with the move away, but regardless of whether they have him or not, Nicola Barella in that team, Marcelo Brozovic, if he's still there in that team, they still have a very quality side, right? And the likes of course, the likes of Fratesi as well. I just feel like Inter are going to give us a hard time if this game is at the San Siro. And I'm going to say Inter will win it at the San Siro. I'm going to say Inter will beat Arsenal at the San Siro. I'm sorry. Yeah, I know. I am sorry. Shakhtar Donetsk, easy 3 points. Easy 3 points. Now, Shakhtar, there was a time when they were the team, right? There's a time when they're the team signing Brazilians and transforming them and bringing this kind of, Brazilian football on the table. We were mesmerized. Gone are the days. These days, Shakhtar come in with 1 or 2 good performances, 1 or 2 good players here and there, and they're not scary. At least they don't scare me, honestly. So, Shakhtar, Arsenal beat Shakhtar, whether it's at home, whether it's away. Atalanta. Now, this is the game. I'm going to make this prediction, right? This is the game that Arsenal will not win. All the other games, we have a chance. Arsenal will not beat Atalanta. I'm telling you, Arsenal will not beat Atalanta. And this is the reason why. The kind of football that Atalanta play is the antidote to Arsenal's football. Let me explain. So, the teams that we actually struggle against are teams that play on the front foot. They press quickly and they press effectively, high up the pitch, quickly and effectively. Aston Villa, for instance, last campaign, and what we saw with Atalanta against Liverpool was a team that doesn't really fare, a team that knows that pressing early and pressing high and pressing effectively is the effective way of winning a game, especially against an organized Liverpool side, an organized Leverkusen side, an organized Arsenal side as well. Now, I think the question with them is that now they've lost Tune Jimenez in that midfield. Can they replace him? Very well. I mean, my eyes are on them. The Catalara has not yet come good, but he had a much better season as compared to the first season he had at AC Milan. So probably Tune Jimenez leaving could allow them to explore the talents of Charles de Català. Quality-wise, they're not the team that you're going to say, we are dead. But the way they play, they're not a team Arsenal will beat. I'm 100% sure we don't win this game. Trust me. It's not because I think we're weak. It's because I think they play in a way that we cannot beat. And I thought this summer Arsenal would bring in a player like Eberechi Eze, try to change the way we go against a mid block. That didn't happen. Okay, so Atalanta is there as well. Dinamo Zagreb, Arsenal's 3 points. Like 3 points, right? So Arsenal beat Zagreb. That is 3 points. I think we will lose to Atalanta. So that keeps us on 3 points. We'll beat Shakhtar Donetsk, 6 points. Inter Milan, I'm going to go with a draw, 7 points. PSG, I'm going to go with a draw for PSG, right? I'm going to go with a draw. Do I really trust Arsenal against PSG? I'm going to go with a draw. 8 points. We'll beat Girona. They play in a very, very interesting style, but we'll beat them. That's 11 points. We'll beat Monaco, 14 points. If this game is away, I don't think Arsenal beats Sporting CP away. I just don't think so. But I'm going to go with 1 point, 15 points. So 15 points out of possible 24. Does that really put us into a category where we automatically qualify for the round of 16? I don't think so. I think Arsenal will have to play another home and away fixture, right? And then we shall progress to the round of 16. I'm sure we will progress to the round of 16, but not automatically. So that is the UCL draw. You can bet on all UCL games with KiwiBet Uganda. There are better odds on UCL. There are better odds on the Premier League as well. And of course, my Premier League predictions will be coming out very soon. The Arsenal preview, starting 11, and deadline day transfers continue.